couple, every marriage relationship, I believe, has a kingdom mandate.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, the Bible talks about being unequally yoked. It doesn't mean that, you know, if you're a Christian, I'm a Christian, then we good.
All of a sudden,
no, you can both be Christian, but still be unequally yoked.
Totally.
Because, you know, you have a vision for ministry going here, and she has a vision for ministry staying here or going somewhere else. And so, you know, you're not meshing, or, you know, you can't work together because of, you know, you're too similar or you're too different. And so, you know, and there's grace for all of that.
Yeah.
You know, you know, what God will not, God will get into the middle of a relationship. You got to have Him to be the center of your relationship to keep things together. But if it's not right, or it's not godly, or it's not God ordained, you want to know then, you know, before things get even further down the road and you start planning for a wedding, or you've already gotten married and then you're in your first year and realize, I done married the wrong person.
Yeah. So it is important, like Terrence said, to slow down the process. You don't have to run ahead, and you don't have to speed it up. Now, I know we've shared our testimony about our process being what it was, but all of the boxes are still checked based on what we're sharing with you now. This is the same process. It just was expeditious in its nature, but that fast that we went on for 30 days can very well, you know, translate into the time frame that we're even suggesting for you, all of these parts being checked before you proceed, because it is important that you marry the right person.
Absolutely. So you want to be, you know, you want to be proactive in making sure that you with the God ordained person that God has, you know, carved out of eternity into time for such a time as this for you, because you don't have a whole lot of time to be playing games. There's a lot of things going on, but there's also a kingdom mandate, a kingdom agenda that needs to be handled and taken care of that only you can do. And if you're with the wrong person, that person will hinder you and become an obstacle for you carrying out your God-given purpose. And so in our case, you know, we prayed, we talked to leadership, we received wise counsel beforehand, and still receive wise counsel after we're married 21 years later. It's so important. And, you know, we were learning the same things. We were in similar ministries, working together. And so I saw how much she loved God. She saw how much I love God, and that, you know, we were able to grow together in the same house. That was, you know, pretty important. And so it's going to be, you know, of the utmost importance to do that.
And I do want to say one final thing is that we heard God, but what is important about what Terrence is saying about leadership, those who have charge over your soul and over your life, they heard God for us before we knew God said it, which is so important, because there was a level of trust that we had with them to speak into our lives, and they heard God knowing that we were moving from the various places that we were coming from. We hadn't even met each other yet. We hadn't even met, and we hadn't even gotten to Georgia yet. But when he arrived, the Lord spoke.
When I came on the scene.
Yes. The Lord.
My gangster lady.
The Lord spoke to our then leader and told him that I, who hadn't even arrived yet, was his wife. I came 3 weeks later. We met 3 days later, and we've been married. We got married 7 months later, as to share those details again. So it's crucial that your leader, that you trust your leader to have a voice and be willing to put it on the chopping block. Like Abraham, he had to sacrifice. He thought he had to sacrifice Isaac, but it was something near and dear to his heart. But God had to see whether or not you trust me. You know?
It's going to be very important that you trust God in this whole process, because if you don't trust the voice of your leadership, then you might be in the wrong house. sorry to say. You know, if you're just going there because grandma and them and mama and them, you know, made you go to church, and then now this is your church and you're grown now and you're in ministry, but you don't trust the voice of your leadership and the vision of your leadership, and you can't run with that, then you're in the wrong house. And you need to get into a house where you can trust leadership.
Call us
and that's a whole nother video.